And I said for 1 week, do this exercise. This is my famous thought cut silence tools that I have been offering to you guys for the longest time, right? Is the same exercise as thought cut silence, or from the minute that I wake up, I realize that the mind ego
Waiting for
has
Sudi
also awakened with
to
me. So from that
put me
moment
on
on,
her
my
Instagram.
exercise is to separate myself. Oh, it's the ego, it's the mind, it's the ego, is mine. I am not. Trito has joined. Huh? Trito has joined. Oh, okay, fantastic. Exercise.
Hello.
Good morning, sweetheart.
Sudi, how are you? Long time no see.
I know I missed you so much, and I wanted to tell you, Trido, I was so grateful because you sent me that beautiful video to wish me happy birthday, and it just got stuck in my head. Trido is wish me a happy birthday, and Trido, you know how dearly I love you because you are one of the sweetest souls that I have encountered on this planet. So thank you very much for sending me that lovely video for my birthday. And I'm wishing you all the joy and success. And guys, this is my prediction. Pretty soon, in not so long, you would see Trido has become huge on social media. And when that happens, you will tell me Sudi predicted that long time ago.
The bigger you get, the more AI try to get you.
I know. Trido, you look younger. What is the secret?
Meditation. Meditation.
Yeah, see, guys? See, I told my audience many, many years ago, they kept asking me, like, how come you look young and blah, blah, blah. I said, meditations, while I'm meditating, it just feels like you take your face and put it in the freezer, right? So in the freezer, you always stay fresh. If we only get it. So is that the only thing? Trido, just meditation.
Stress-free life, no drama. You know, the monastic life is pretty chill. Helping people, give more, take less. All of these are small factors that contributes to one's youthfulness, vitality.
There we go. Yes. So you heard it from him. So Trido, I'm just going to finish up my donkey exercise and then we get back to you.
Okay.
So I was telling them I did a Farsi reel yesterday, and I said, for 1 week, every time you reel, but don't steal it from me now, Trido. This is my exercise, okay? Do not steal it and give it to the monks. I said, every time you realize that your mind starts talking, you stop it and you tell yourself, the monkey is talking. From the voice. So this is the same exercise, and as I've been constantly saying, and I said, remember, scientifically, this donkey voice of yours, it has shown that is talking 75,000 to 95,000 per day. So imagine how many times a day, 95,000 times a day, your donkey is saying, "Iya, iya, iya." And the more you listen to it, the sound of the donkey will get louder, which is going to irritate you more, and the conversation will become longer. So don't forget that this donkey, I don't want to get banned. From now on, I'm going to use the donkey instead of the mind or brain. So every time I say from now on donkey, you guys know I'm talking about the brain, right? So remember, this donkey has never really helped you. Oh, Brandon is here. Oh my goodness. I I just called Brandon. I know you remember Brandon, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, he's doing a great
We
job
did a
too.
Joan Life Together one. I love Brandon too. So, what a lovely life. Oh, Brandon.
Hi, Sudi. Good to see you.
Brandon, I missed you. I miss you and I miss Trido. You guys are always in my heart.
You grew that out.
Yeah, it grew itself. But thankfully, I didn't have to do anything for it. But yeah.
The beard means wisdom.
Good to see you too.
Wisdom.
Brandon, how have you been? It's so good to see you again.
Oh man, it's been a ride. Recently I've been really good. It's been such a journey. Yeah, really good.
We really want to hear about it. Would you like to share?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt. Were you in the middle of something? When I tuned in, I don't know if it was lagging or
no. It was the end. I was teaching everyone about the monkey exercise that I have created. Is the same exercise as throat cut silence. So we're done with it. We want to hear all about you. We're very excited to see what Brandon's journey has been. Go on, Brandon.
Oh man, where to start? Let me just tune in a little bit here.
Yeah.
A lot of it has been around identity, around discovering. It's one thing to intellectually understand what the non-dual, even Buddhist point of view points to. It's one thing to intellectually understand that. And then it's another thing to let go of any even subtle form of attachment to a person, a persona that seems to be a source of value, belonging, anything that feeds the ego. And so my journey as of recently has been the difference between intellectually understanding and knowing, which for me, knowing and how I express myself in the world, typically as kindness, if I just make it simple, like the knowing and kindness are synonymous. And so I've noticed over the last 6 months, I kind of had a deeper forgetting, but it was also a unearthing of deeper parts of my persona, my personality that I guess were believed by my personality itself to be essential to me. Meaning, without this, I can't be happy. I can't be free. And so in the letting go and the discovery of freedom on the other side of these parts, there's just a deep relief, a relief in searching and seeking. But it's, I think in this community, or at least in my community, there can be either like a shaming or an avoidance to the seeking itself, when in realities we have to go through very often go through the seeker to see what it is that we so strongly think that we need, so we don't need it. But it takes a full validation of that part of ourself, a full embracing of that part of ourself. We call it the ego, or just our suppressed trauma, whatever we want to call it, a full embracing and understanding, because it's not that it goes anywhere. It exists. Anything in existence can't go anywhere, but through the meeting and the understanding of it, it can transform. And that's been a lot of my recent experience.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's really, as you were speaking, I was getting all these aha moments, like, how we really get lost in so many directions, and how when we allow the mind to really take over, how it just connects so many things together that are really irrelevant, but it makes it as such. Trido, come on in, tell us what you think.
Yeah, it's ego is very difficult to tame. The me, the my, the I, and the links of influence, what we call in Buddhism, paticca samuppada, that led us to where we are today. The anger that we held in, and the causes and conditions that led us to be angry, so many causes and conditions that we're not aware of, the subconscious, the unconscious, since birth. In Buddhism, we trace back since how young you could remember who you were with, where you were at, and what you saw and what you remember that led up to today's totality of you, and the making of you. And in Buddhism, pretty much we try to undo all of the negative habits, all of the negative acquired emotions, negative acquired bad habits throughout one's lifetime, and trying to drop as much of that as possible. Meditation aims to drop as much as that as possible, and redefining who you are, kind of like born again Buddhist. The concept of like born again Christian, born again Buddhist, birth of a thought, death of a thought, birth of an emotion, death of an emotion, um, death of the old you, and birth of the new you. Yeah. So it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of courage for any males to see that clearly, and it takes a lot of courage to desire to eradicate what is not been helpful for us throughout our life, and to redefine who we are, to be the we have a lot of power, strength, and to discover that beauty that sits inside of us, so that we may achieve inner liberation, peace, and freedom. So you're doing great, Brandon, and you're inspiring a lot of people who's listening, because we monks have to go through the same. I took a 1-year silent retreat to deal with my own ego and figure myself out.
Wow. Yeah, for me. It was initiated actually by a 4-day fast alone in the desert, water fast. That was the big opening. I had a lot of openings, but this was one that really took me into the unconscious, my own unconsciousness. So,
Brandon, what are you doing right now? Like, are you teaching? You have courses? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm opening a community. I haven't talked about it much. I'm glad that you asked. It's called Living in Truth, LIT for short. And it's inspired really by my last, maybe 8-9 months of having experiences that were so intensely destroying of my heart and reality. Who am I? What am I? I don't belong. What is this? And like the complete falling into the unknown, and realizing there's no floor, and the fall is a flying, and it's liberating. And in that, I keep coming back to the difference between reality and my thinking about reality, and seeing that without my thinking, reality is kind, graceful, everything I need. And so in that community, and it's going to be free for a little while, we get back to that fundamental truth that reality and other people aren't our enemy, but our thinking and believing that we copy and paste onto them is. And like, Sudi, it's like in that moment, duality is created. In the absence of resistance, that's another way of saying non-duality. It's not a fantastical experience. It's just the absence of the separation that mind creates. And so it's just about finding any moment where we believe in the nightmare, which is the duality. We believe there is a the nightmare is real, and we come back to the truth of that experience through inquiry, through self-inquiry.
Brandon, I have a very imaginatory mind, and when people talk, in my mind creates a movie. I see things. And as you were explaining this, I saw this ranch, but I don't know why roosters were very profound. Do you have a place yet?
A place for the gathering?
Yeah.
Well, no, not necessarily. We have a couple. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I have some friends that have yoga studios, and we're doing events and whatnot. One of my friends is creating the beginning of next year, there will be it's called Sanctuary, and there'll be a temple and about 1,000, it'll house about 1,000 people, the different housing units and farms, and it'll all be a regenerative kind of eco village style place out here in Texas. So some things are in the works.
Before you came in, I told Tridy that I told everyone, I said, in a few years' time, you shall see that Trido becomes huge, like, and as you were speaking, I was like,
Trido's already huge. I could feel him all the way over here.
I know. But you were speaking, I was like, oh my God, he's Ramdas. Huge Brandon.
Brandon Das?
Yeah. Let us give him a name, because I became Sud Guru. They start giving me this name because my full name in Farsi is Sudabe, and they gave me this Sud Guru things. We got to find one for Brandon. But Brandon, no, I'm not kidding with you. I'm very serious. I see in the near future that you become another Ramdas, but I'm seeing a lot of greenery space and like a ranch. That's where you're going to be.
That sounds beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to share a personal story with you guys. About almost 3 months ago, my lifestyle is so busy. We are like Trido on all different platforms, and I have lovely, there's 17 people who help me out with all my social medias. I'm blessed. They drive me crazy. They help me out. They need a lot of attentions, all of that amount. So I said, for 2 weeks, I'm going to stop everything. No private coaching sessions, nothing. I'm not going to do live. For 2 weeks, I'm just going to stop everything and just work on my course, which is, I have written it and all of this stuff. You're not going to believe it. The very first day, today is the first day of the two weeks that I'm just not doing anything. I went in the shower. The shower is still, I have this huge like jacuzzi bathtub. There's no water. My feet I slept and I fell from my left side on shoulder. The pain was excruciating and I went unconscious and I was like, oh my God, another painful Kundalini awakening experience. Like, why does it have to be so difficult, so painful? Because I have happened, from car accident, from falling down all the way from stairs, like bang, bang, bang. I said, does it have to be so drastic and painful to have a freaking Kundalini? Excuse my language. Anyhow, so I fainted out in the bathtub. I don't know how long it passed by. I finally came out. The pain was so bad. I managed to pull myself into the bed. And as soon as I get the pain was going up and down. And I said, what is it? What is the lesson? And the list started. Yeah, you're doing so many things, being all over the place, and this is not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be being. And I'm like, okay, I get it. And you might relate to that. All of a sudden, Ramana Maharaji came in my body. And I love Ramana, He came in my body and my whole body started vibrating. And as soon as I came out, my pain was totally gone. So in that moment, I'm trying to negotiate with the higher up. Can I do a TED Talk? No. Can I do my retreat? No. Can I go live? No. And it's just, so I got it that they want me to do absolutely nothing. And literally for that 2 weeks, I just slept. I mean, in my career of 43 years being in the business of coaching and training, all of that stuff, I never had a day that I saw a sunlight. And in that 2 weeks, I would wake up 8:30, 9 a.m. The sun was already out, and I slept, and I went into trance, in and out, in and out. So to make the long story short, I was like, okay, I get it, but doesn't have to be so drastic. Why all these experiences has to be, so tough? And anyway, everyone told me, yeah, it's not the bone. So the pain started again after that night and everything. And I've been in pain still up to today. I went to physiotherapist, I went here and there. So finally I'm like, I got to get the MRI because I'm not getting better. So the MRI result came back and I had a bone fracture where the arm and the shoulder goes together, bone fracture and some distance created. And now I'm really doing the teaching. I am not the mind, right? I am not the mind. I am not the physical body, and I'm not the emotion. So if Ramana didn't come into my body and take that excruciating pain away, I could have probably run to the hospital, But then I came back again into slowing down and being in the moment and doing one project at a time. But for 2 weeks, I literally didn't do anything. So coming back to you, the topic of the day is how to overcome the thinking machine. What do you have to say? Which one of you guys wants to start? Brandon or Charlie?
Brandon.
Who wants to jump?
I can start. I think the word overcome could be a double-edged sword, first off, to a lot of people that have typically defined that word in a confrontational way.
Right.
And so my approach has always been to see the ego as like a child, as a child that has needs. And if a child walked up to me and said, I'm really afraid of this thing that may happen, and I go, get out of here, you stupid kid. I don't want to hear you. I just want the divine, only the divine, not you. The child's sitting there like, I'm not the divine. I'm not, I'm not love. And so what does it have to do? It gets louder. It just bangs on the door louder and louder. And so that's, overcoming the ego is a trick of ego because it puts us at war. And that's inner conflict. So the moment, it's kind of like fighting a mirage. I'm in the desert, and if I'm hallucinating, something's chasing me, and I'm trying to fight it off. I could never even hit it. I'm going to lose. I'm going to exhaust myself. Versus seeing that it's a mirage. And this is where all negative ego, because I want to define ego as there's a negative version and also a positive or just a neutral version, ego being that which allows us to interact with physical reality. It's my senses. It's okay, I can define this from that. And that's just a very neutral function we need to interact with life. And then there's the negative ego, which has nothing to do with the moment. It has everything to do with the future, which is all constructed from our past. So what I fear in the future is typically unresolved judgment, guilt from the past, and that manifests as anxiety in the future. So when I know that right now is never my issue. And that's really powerful as your first reminder. Mind is saying you're in the danger. And the first response can be, okay, I know what my ego's saying can't be the absolute truth. I know that there can't actually be danger right here. I mean, even if there was a gun pointed to my head, the ego's afraid of the trigger being pulled, but that hasn't happened yet. So it's delusional. It's purely imagined. So when I see what the imagined fear is, and I first differentiate, okay, right now I'm safe. I come right back into the now. Then I can go meet that fear and investigate and meet it with understanding. And in this case, I'll just use something simple like the fear of being rejected. If I share my passion, my gifts, I'll be rejected. Go fully. And this is more of like a tantric approach versus an Advaita approach. But they go to the same place, and in my experience, it helps avoid the bypass, spiritual bypassing. So we're really immersing into it until we break through back into our being. And so I'll meet that scenario full, patience and all. Let me put myself in the imagined scenario of being rejected, and I'll drop a client in or myself, and I'll wait and I'll get still, which typically we don't want to do that. We don't want to feel rejection and stillness. We want to avoid and eat and project and deny and blame. So I'll get really still with that sensation and discover, okay, number one, this isn't a threat to my life right now. I can be with this. And that's big to realize. I can be with this. And then second is to witness all of the narratives. Man, if someone judges me, if they say I'm a fraud, I can't handle that. And typically what that means is a part of ourselves does believe we're a fraud. And they're just going to reveal that to us. And so I've seen that admitting what we're afraid of is a way that we can be admitted back to the moment, back to our being. Okay, maybe that's true. If I'm fighting, if I have a defense, that's also an attack. So when I find where my defenses are, I can find the truth. Where do I actually believe I am a fraud? And I can start to open and be honest. And I lied here. I'm not totally sure about this. And so I could first meet the ego. But you know what? We're on the same team. Thank you for showing me that. And then I can get to the deeper truth. Am I, as a person, a fraud? And that's where so I'm meeting the ego where it's at. And I'm also coming back to my core identity. What is I? Awareness, the presence behind the thoughts. Is that a fraud? Can that be rejected? And I like to kind of end there to make sure we include the whole chain of ego, thoughts, emotions, all of it. So no stone is left unturned. We really get the lesson, and then we come back to ourselves clearly. So that's my training on how I would train on that in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Tridy, come on in, please join us. Tridy, you are missing our feng shui. Can we have a little more of your body? So, and cut out a little bit from your headroom so we can have more body and your nice outfit. There we go. Yeah. It's the XOCD mind, has to see everything.
I'm using my.
Oh, that's even better. See, now I can see you and Brendan at the same line.
See if I move this over here, if it helps out here. My phone, I'm using my iPad, so it doesn't have a cover, so it slides.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So this touches the practice of the non-self. Anytime when we inflict pain to ourselves, either accidentally or purposely, the practice of the non-self lies in the Anatalakana Sutta. And when we sit and we meditate, the first example I give is you have low back pain as you sit and you meditate, and then your feet start falling asleep. The first thing that comes to mind in Vipassana meditation, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, is mindfulness of sensations, Vedana. And so we prefer what is pleasant, and we push away what is unpleasant. So of course, low back pain is unpleasant, and anything that is associated with sitting cross-legged, lotus position, is unpleasant. So we tend to get irritated. Then the mind leads to, I can't believe I have low back pain in this moment. I can't believe that my leg is falling asleep. This is where the ego says, well, why couldn't you sit there and be like the teacher? Why couldn't you sit long? Everyone else is sitting for 10 minutes. You're sitting for 5, and you're experiencing all of these sensations and pain, and now you're suffering. So the The practice of the non-self says, not me, not my, not I. And the goal of Vipassana meditation is to see things as they are, the true nature of reality of whatever it is, of your body. What is the true nature of reality of your body? Well, the true nature of reality of your body is that its job is to produce pain, because it's telling you, hey, this is a little sitting here a little too long. Not everyone is the same. Every human body is complex and different. So therefore, it's okay to move around and don't beat yourself up. But we beat ourselves up, don't we? We like things to be permanent. We don't like things to change, and we want things under our control at all times, which is impermanence, suffering, and the non-self. Uh, no different, Sudi. In 2018, 19, and 20, those 3 consecutive year, I was in the hospital a lot, and so I had no choice but to come to terms that, well, this is the true nature of reality of my body and my tummy. And if it wants to act up, you have to yield to it and not to resist the pain that's being produced inside of the body, to see it as it is and endure through it with patience and endurance. So, we personalize our pain, we personalize our suffering. These are key principles that is taught in cognitive behavioral therapy. By being aware of how you personalize your pain and suffering brings it to awareness, and the next time it happens, you catch yourself. Pain comes quick. We personalize things very quickly. Without the practice of awareness, you let it go unnoticed, and therefore you stack on suffering on top of suffering on top of suffering, needlessly suffer.
Wonderful. If you guys are okay, we open up to Q&A, people, the viewers. So please, guys, be more engaging and write down any questions that you have from Brandon, Tridee, or whoever. But I pin what you said, not me, not mine, not I. That is beautiful, Trido. Yeah, coming back, Brandon, before we get the first question, coming back to what you said, I oftentimes say, we don't feel safety and security is the number one thing. We all know that it starts from the root chakra. And any decision that we make, whether we do something or not doing something, it all comes back because the mind is always behaving as taking care of us to be safe. Am I safe or am I not safe, right? So what you said, it was wonderful because you said when the ego start doing whatever, so the way I often tell people, I said, when you see that some feeling comes up, it doesn't matter. You don't really have to dig into it. Where is it coming from? Is it my karma? Is it from my childhood or whatever? Without even getting into that translation or the judgment of it being good or bad, realize that, as you said, the ego is your inner child. And every time you just grab the inner child, your ego, and say, hey, come here to this light. We are safe here. Just come here. We are safe here. And I think this is one of the million ways that we can, help ourselves during this stress or when we have those emotions that are lingering there for a long time that are unpleasant, just by identifying the ego. I think that's by itself, it's a huge part. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. And just to grab that ego, bringing it, I'm seeing you, let's come to the light. And even when I imagine, like, you seeing a little boy, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, or a girl, you just hug that kid so closely and start pressing and nurturing that kid, and you say, we are safe. Sometimes by just holding ourselves, like I taught people, I said, just by caressing yourself and you say, I'm safe. You are safe here. Body, you are safe here. And sometimes I use that method in my private coaching session, and people come into tears just by doing this exercise. And I say, just close your eyes and just caress yourself and say, you are safe. You are safe. I'll see you. And it's just many things that we can do. But to me, and you know, Brandon, you're very aware with my teaching, which is the same, is nothing new. Ramana's teaching that the question is, who am I? And I just said, every time you realize that the mind start talking, even before you allow it to go through the whole story, when you stop it right away and you ask yourself, who am I? And by doing this, the false eye that's looking outward just intentionally switch it and make it to go inward. And for me, that's helpful. When I see that my mind is starting, I just stop it right away and I say, I sometimes repeat 2 or 3 times, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And this reminds me to just move the eyes inward. And it just feels like shh, the water runs through. And let me some question. Okay, yeah. So what is Sahar saying? I feel we are in a very high vibration. Well, thank you for your comments. Anybody has a question for... By the way, guys, if you guys are here, could you please follow Brandon and Tridy if you haven't yet? That would be the least we can do to have our lovely guests to you guys follow. Okay. So who wants to answer? Family. Let me pin this before we lose it. Who wants to answer this question? Brandon or Trido?
Which one is it?
It says, do we think COVID jobs change people? Is that clear to you guys what the question is?
COVID jobs, Brandon?
Yeah, the vaccines. I think there's a more important question to ask. So I'm just gonna give that question, which is, it's like that you could be in your business or other people's business, and when you leave yours, it's stressful. So coming back to really why does it matter now? The answer to that question. Like, I just want to point that person back to what are you really looking for in the answer? And just sit with that,
Absolutely. I just pinned another question. Will you release this session? I have to go. I think you mean to save it. Absolutely. It will be saved here. And just guys, I think Trido, you saw the message too late, but we wanted to also join you on YouTube. So when was it? People come constantly into my space, Yes, yesterday I said, where's Trido? A couple of days ago. And then yesterday I said, where's Brandon? Brandon, people just show up in my space. Oh my God, we haven't done a join live. So for next time, I want to arrange it earlier so we can join both on Instagram and YouTube, if it's okay with you guys.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot that YouTube now has a feature where you can bring on people live. It didn't cross my mind when that question was asked on my thing, and I'm like, wait, how do I do that? And now I got it now. I remember now.
Yeah, because what we're doing is sometimes when I have more people, like for my birthday, we connect the Zoom to the camera to YouTube so we can get as many people as we can. And then right now on YouTube, we have an option to do a jointly. But because if you're doing both servers, we're going from Instagram and YouTube, there are some technical issues that we wanted to resolve it beforehand. But that would be wonderful. Next time we'll be more prepared so we can join, because a lot of people watch us on YouTube and some on Instagram. Anyhow, it's going to be saved, so you don't have to worry about it. We can even upload this one again on YouTube because I don't want to be on YouTube by myself. So we do that too. All right.
There were some questions here, Sudi. I don't know if you saw them. There's
go ahead. Yes.
Can you clarify how we can find the tools that work in our body to handle pain, either physically or mentally?
Yes.
Should we start with that? And then there's one, how can I teach my kids how to not identify with themselves?
Yes, go ahead. Dive in.
Okay. Yeah, with the first one on pain in the body, physically and emotionally, I think I saw someone kind of respond to this. Most often when there's not mental resistance, suffering on top of physical pain, the suffering, the physical pain most often becomes bearable. And no one's traumatized from physical pain alone. We're only traumatized from the story that we attach to the physical pain that turns us into this separate suffering self that we want to resist becoming again. So if we get that the physical pain on some level, as if it is causing suffering, then that's one of the primary reasons the pain is there in the first place, to illuminate a previously held condition that you're ready to liberate. So when you focus on that, questioning the thoughts, coming back to yourself in the midst of the pain, you're responding to an old condition in a new way. And that's the measurement of change. That's what it looks like. And so if you focus on what you can, and a lot of people, it's like, I could be in pain and the phone could ring. And I pick up the phone, and for a moment, the narrative, the me that I was sustaining in my mind, I'm suffering, how long is this going to last? How many days, my life, the whole nightmare goes away because I'm curious about who's on the phone. And in that moment, so does my pain. And I put the phone down and I remember myself, and it all comes back. So,
yeah, and also your attention, the focus of the mind shifts somewhere else, right? Yeah. So it's not at that moment, is not any longer on the pain.
Yes, yeah. So focusing on what you can control or really respond to, which is the resistance towards what is, not trying to change what is.
Mm-hmm. Trido, do you want to add something here?
Could someone repeat the question for accuracy?
Yeah, it says, can you clarify how we can find the tools that works in our body to handle the pain, either physically or mentally?
The tool. So we, using Vipassana meditation, as taught by Yuta Tammo, and y'all can find him on YouTube, is the noting technique where the pain is. And pretty much where the pain is, you basically note pain, 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 pain. So why do we note the word pain where the pain is located or where it has arisen? Is that we don't make it my pain. Why am I having this pain? Again, back to the me, my, and I. And so slowly when you shine a light on it, it starts to lose its power. It stopped adding on to the ego about, I can't believe I have this pain. This pain is magnetizing. It's becoming greater. So again, I invite people to research the 4 foundations of mindfulness, which is insight meditation. And that is one effective tool to pinpoint and target your pain as you're experiencing it. And also mindfulness of the breath is another great tool, as the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So we use a one-pointed concentration technique, the rising and falling of the abdomen, to help mitigate some of that active physical pain in the moment. There's many other techniques, which is chanting, praying, that would help too, because sometimes you're in excruciating pain, either in the ER or whatever procedures that you're going through, or existing internal conditions in internal medicine that seems unbearable in the moment. And the other thing I would suggest is by being more engaged in your community, by giving more and taking less, you also forget about such pain because you have directed and redirected the entire human organ, the human body of total all giving. In my life, I didn't exempt pain, but all I knew was to give more and take less and dedicate my body, speech, and mind for the benefit of other people. And eventually, you're so engaged into it, pain seems to, I don't know, not be so pronounced in one's body. That you cultivate self-esteem, self-concept, self-value, and self-worth, realizing that you have so much to give to the world, the beautiful human that you are, the gifts that God has given you, the gifts that the universe has given you, and we don't have to focus too much on what is not going well, but focus on what is going well in your life. Look at all the blessings there is remaining as part of being this human.
Yeah. I would also add something to it because I find this very effective when I'm doing a private one-on-one coaching with someone who have a session because they have this extreme illness or something. So do this together as an example right now. You guys want to do it? Okay. So the first thing we do, we just take a free few inhale and exhale and really ease into our body. Please, everybody here, thank you for joining. Do it with us. Just relax your body and just concentrate on the inhale and exhale. You can also repeat, body, you are safe here. Body, you are safe here. Then we go to the area where the pain, the illness, or the organ that you're having problem with. Concentrate on that. And then I would ask you, if this pain or this illness had a shape, what shape would it be? Would it be straight? Would it be triangle? Would it be a circle? See what the shape is. Just concentrate on it. Slow down your breath and just get deeper. If this illness or this problem or the issue that's arising right now had a color, what color would it be? Just see in your mind eyes. Is it white? Is it blue? Is it brown? What color is it? And then again, if this issue, this problem, this illness has a texture, what texture? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it moist? Is it rough? Inhale and exhale, get even deeper in your body. Now, if this illness or problem would be a person, would it be a female energy or a masculine energy? Female or masculine? And just silence yourself to hear and see. And now you can ask it, what is the storyline? What is the deep-rooted issue? What are you trying to bring to my attention? I know you want to tell me something. I know that you want to bring something to my attention that is much more deeper. What is it? and just sit in that silence till it starts connecting with you and speaking to you. I know you have a message for me. I am here and ready to hear you. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Sudi.
Thank you, Rani. So I often find this exercise, people come up with really profound thing that wasn't on their awareness on the surface here. And they hear things, well, oh, because they hear the storyline. They hear where it's coming from. So that's another exercise or tools that you guys can use to just silence yourself and ask yourself. Like when that happened to me, when I slept in the shower in that crucial pain, I asked, I'm like, what is it that I need to know? Oh, you're being all over the place. You're supposed to be a human being. You just supposed, okay, I got it. So it doesn't mean that the pain goes away, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to judge the pain. Oh, if you're such a spiritual teacher or if you're a shaman, how come you suffer it? It's not about that. It's about, okay, and every second, like try these steps. My focus and my attention goes to wherever I am most helpful at that moment, right? So the focus and attention is not on me, but is where can I be helpful? How can I be at service? And by doing that, it's just my focus is not on the pain anymore, but it just shifts somewhere else. So what else do you guys want to add before we end this live?
I'm still blissed out from that guided meditation. It's so much better when you give the guided meditation.
You're so sweet. That's why I love you.
It's I would add that it's a knee-jerk reaction, and it is biologically programmed, where we were biologically programmed to take first and foremost to take it personal, and then the second thing is to blame to ensure our survival. Remember that thousands and thousands of years ago, when we were Homo habilis, Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, that when someone attacked us and they inflict pain upon us, the first thing was to go, "You did that to me? How dare you?" And then we would obviously kill the other person. I mean, that's that's what we did. That's humans. Then of course, came law and humanity and society. So of course, we couldn't do that anymore. Or if you do that, you're gonna go away for a very long time, and you're gonna be practicing vipassana in prison. So the practice of mindfulness, awareness of these knee-jerk reactions, it just helps you. You know, one of the primary jobs of a human is to forget.
Yeah.
People ask me, "Do you wear this every day?" Well, yeah, I have to, because it's my uniform, and I gave everything up to wear queen size bed sheets, spice color. So, but we have this to remind us that you know everything that I have told you all. This actually means the color of death. So be grateful to if you open your eyes this morning, be grateful because you were blessed with two gifts. Not a lot of people get to open their eyes this morning. And by practicing mindfulness meditation, mindfulness in the beginning, early in the day, sets the intention. And then at the end of the day, to let go of all the acquired negative emotions, negative acquired bad habits, then you're more likely to be well equipped for the rest of the week and the remaining balance of the day to conquer your day. So much can happen in one day. up to 70,000 separate each thoughts the mind produces. And I think the subject of today was, do we need the mind, right, Sudi?
Yeah.
And in the Dhammapada, I think you guys can barely see the title, but in the Dhammapada, the verse number 1 in the Dhammapada is that everything is preceded by the mind. The mind is the forerunner. Everything is preceded by it. So you have to know how to tame the mind, whether it's going to lead you to hell or heaven, and the psychological demon that lies in the mind. So when Brandon was talking about, when he was helping us analyze the mind through by bringing the ego up to the surface, why is it so difficult, all of this, and why is this a repeating subject over every year? There's a repeating subject on the mind and how to tame it, is because we're using the mind to fix the mind. We're using the one thing that causes us a lot of problems to fix itself. You know, so it's complex. We know how deep the ocean is, but we don't really fully grasp the depth of how the mind can get, the tricks it plays, the games that it played. And the Buddha was the world's first psychologist in understanding and identifying the mind's tendencies, the greed, the anger, and the ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. So you all have to use all these philosophies, everything that Sudi said, everything that Brandon is doing, and everything that the Buddha left us 2,600 years ago, to make sense of this mind, the complexity of your mind. And every year it evolves. You know, and if you have kids, oh goodness, every year your kids get smarter than you are. They're like robots. It's crazy, the evolution of the mind every year that we get to observe in humans across our platforms. But by using the best available science and trusting the teacher and trusting the process, then you come closer in taming the mind, which is a very glorious victory, because the Buddha says you can win 1,000 battle 1,000 times, but the noblest victor of all is one who wins the battle within himself, him or herself.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, beautifully said. Brandon, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I'll just mention. Thank you so much, Trady. I love how you explain things. It really, it's really, really good. In inquiry, self-inquiry, it might seem like we're using mind to tackle mind, but if you're doing inquiry correctly, you're moving in the opposite direction of mind. You're evoking wisdom through a kind of stillness that the mind can't stand. And the wisdom, this is the insight that came to me the other day as I was doing inquiry. Wisdom is God interpreted through the mind. And we could say God is being, or infinite consciousness awareness. And love is God interpreted through the body. So when I'm turning in, and the questions that I ask, I might be interfacing with mind, but through the question, I'm using mind to get out of my mind, because I'm going somewhere the mind can't actually go, to something that it can't conceptually understand. And in that, there's an opening, there's a light that shines through. And just like when we turn light on in a room, it doesn't have to battle the darkness to eventually illuminate the room. It's just light. And it could feel like effort at first, but it's actually an undoing of a previously held effort that has momentum. So it's like if you squeeze your hand for a really long time and then you open it and it feels difficult to open, you're not actually coming up against resistance. You're feeling a previously held resistance slowly unraveling itself. So don't be discouraged if by turning in the opposite direction, which one of my favorite questions when a thought arises, yes, the direct path, who am I? But also, is this true? Is this true? And I could sit in that. You could sit in that question. Is this a fact? for 5 minutes and just see what starts coming. And instead of following the trail of the thought, you go into a different direction and wisdom can shine through. And when a direct revelation from your being arises, that's transformation. And that's embodied because you felt the source of it as yourself, from your being, not from a book, not from a person, but from an actual moment of inquiry. And to me, that's my spiritual practice, is the living inquiry.
Absolutely. You know, the reason I came with this, do we really need our mind? Because I was doing a coaching session with someone. She's brilliant. And at some point I was going through this. I said, just do this exercise, give it a try, that every time you see your mind start talking, you just stop it and say, who am I? And just turn your attention inward. And she's been with me for some time, and she said, I've been doing that. I'm really helpful. But, okay, she's one of those, she works for Warner Brothers, and she's the 3D, you know, they're making this crazy thing. And she said, but I'm using my mind all the time as I'm working. How about that? I said, that's where you're going wrong. You don't use your mind where you're working. You're in a state of trance. It's outside the mind. She said, her name is Sasha. I said, Sasha, when you're working, she works 14, 16 hours. I said, when you're working, do you find out about time? Do you realize what time is it? How time is passing? She said, no. I said, do you ever get hungry? Do you even go to pee? She said, no. I said, so you're not in the mind. You are. And it was in that moment that she really got an aha moment. That even when we're working, we think that we're using our mind, but the profound thing that comes up, because she's very successful, she's, like I said, I wanted to say she has a brilliant mind, but I thought it's not the mind. I caught myself. You know, so I said to her, I said, even when you're working, you're not, that job, that work that comes out, it's when you're in a state of trance. And because I am doing that all the time, you know, I really worked so many years to ignore the mind, to identify with the mind. And it's the idea that comes to me is really in that profound time when there's absent of the mind. All of my, what I learned, all of my download, all of my aha moment, it's when I wasn't in the mind or listening to the mind. So that's why I said, let's make it this topic today, that do we really need the mind? Yeah. So if you guys don't have anything else to add, we're going to end live. I love you too dearly. You are always in my heart. And pretty soon we're going to do a join live, but this time we're going to do it on both platforms, YouTube and here. Anything to say goodbye to all this beautiful soul who has joined us till now, and all the beautiful souls that are going to continue later on to watch this live. Anything else you want to add?
Just thank you. Yeah, thank you both for your teachings and energy, and thank you everyone for your engagement and for being here.
Thank you so much. Tridie, anything?
Thank you all for joining today. We have a wonderful crowd, and Brandon was a lovely surprise. It came out of nowhere, so I was like, yes. You know,
trust me, when someone comes in my projection, that means they're right here. You just have to reach out.
That's right.
And he was in my projection today. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm just hoping that whatever we do, all of us can help you guys to have a better lives. And I think very, very soon, when I get the green light and throw another retreat, I'm going to do a joint with these guys, with Brandon, with Trido, and all the other beautiful souls on this planet. We're going to find a huge ranch, and we're going to do a week or 2 weeks retreat together. How about that, guys?
With the roosters. We've got to make sure we have the roosters.
I know the roosters. I already seen the roosters. And, love you guys.
Thank you, Sudi. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you, Sudi. Take care. May you all be well.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'd like to answer some questions here real quick. Let me turn this off. Sudi's wonderful. This crew that we have is wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I would assume that. Okay, so what are the basic rules a lay Buddhist should follow? How do I answer that? By following the 5 precepts. And someone that reached out, I'm from Singapore. So Stephen Tan, if you wanted to reach out to me on Instagram so that we can schedule a one-on-one session. Okay. And I think if that's all the questions, I had some. I had a phone call earlier that came in during Sudi's live session. I wanted to address that. It's already 2:00, and I have something at 4, so time is gonna fly right pretty quick. Beautiful day today in Florida. It rained a lot yesterday. Hopefully, it's not gonna rain by the time that 5:00 comes around the corner. I had some scheduled talk that I wanted to do tonight, so hopefully I can get to it. I'm pretty sure I'll get to it. Cornbread Man on YouTube asks, doesn't acknowledging life as suffering breed grounds for nihilistic thoughts? We have to know how to direct the mind. So when we acknowledge that there is suffering in life, which is simple, right? Because birth, disease, decay, birth, old age, disease, decay, and death is suffering. And when we see that in ourselves and we see it in other people, compassion arises. And we know how to navigate within life more intelligently. And, we look at the 4 noble truths. And then after that acknowledgement of the first noble truth, you move on to the second, and the third, and the fourth. You become more wiser. Someone asked Jidao, how do I deal with strict Muslim parents as a lesbian? Number one, even in Vietnamese culture, my own culture, and cultures across Southeast Asia, we still have this thing where parents don't accept their kids for who they are, lesbian, straight, bi, LGBTQIA+. And I'm not sure how old this viewer is who asked me this question, but let me share something with you. That's a good question. Let me share something with you. Yesterday, I went to see my chiropractor. We're going to leave his name out, but I've been going to him for like 20 years. I've been going to him. And he had a partner, and his family did not accept his partner. So he took a 15-year break from them. And he told me yesterday when I sat in that chair, he says, I guess after 15 years, they didn't like this separation thing that took place. So they changed. They accepted my partner for who they are. So what does that mean? It's unfortunate that sometimes across cultures, we have to deal with our parents, and by and through their ignorance, they couldn't operate favorably for our outcome. And it's okay to take a break from family members. I'll be the first to tell you all that. in order to ensure your own peace. Sometimes you may have to take a break. And sometimes, like this wonderful physician, he took a 15-year break from his parents. So, Star Wars asked, I have a question I've been wanting to ask a fellow Buddhist for so long as an ex-Christian, but I know not even one Buddhist. Could you please answer it? Okay, so what's the question? Because I don't see it on here. I have so many screens in front of me. Let me. I don't think people realize how much screens is here. There you go. I gotta show my friends how many screens are here in front of me. Goodness gracious. I still don't have that question. Let me see here. I have a baby on the way, and I didn't grow up with religion myself. I find rationality in Buddhist thought, and I agree with the noble truth and eightfold makes sense. I wonder what happens when an enlightened person dies. Do they just disappear? So when an enlightened person is defined as an arahant. Let me write that. Arahant. Okay, arahant. A fully enlightened being. When they pass away, their streams of consciousness continues. Okay. Every Buddha was an arahant. Not every arahant was a Buddha. So I imagine that the arahants continue to study and practice until they become a Buddha, a Samma Sambuddho. Good question. But death is safe in the sense of Buddhism because your streams of consciousness continue. So it's just the body, it's just that the body and the dissolution of the body takes place. But after death, are they just gone or are they ghosts? Difficult to describe what happens after death. Same analogy as what is enlightenment and how do you experience enlightenment? You have to practice and read the Four Noble Truths to get a good glimpse and idea of what happens after death. A fully enlightened being does not take rebirths anymore. So I would, Star Wars, I think by looking up the 6 rebirth realms, which I wrote there, if you research the 6 rebirth realms, it'll give you a good idea. But I'm not dead yet, so I wouldn't know. And of course, all the arahants who passed away, we obviously don't know where they go. But all I can tell you is it is supreme bliss of peace where there is no more disturbing emotions. So again, a good life equals a good death. And once you've lived a good, fulfilling life in this lifetime, there's no reason to fear death or where you're actually going to go and who you're going to hang out with after you are gone. So I describe the arahants that they hang out with the cool kids club, which is the community and congregation of arahants after they pass away. That's what I've always described it as. Something to look forward to. That's why you have to practice ardently. So Cornbread Man, let me give you. Oh man, I spelled that wrong. Hold on. BuddhaNet.net, BuddhaNet.net. And then access to insight.org. Okay. Those are 2 resources. There's a bunch of children's books. And we inspire our children by and through our own change. That means you need to study the Four Noble Truth and meditate in the house. Be calm, tame your anger so that your kids can follow into your footsteps. Not necessarily, you be angry and read them a bunch of books and hopefully they become the next great Buddhist. It doesn't happen that way. So there are plenty of resources. I just gave you 2 of them right there on my YouTube. So pay close attention, be a mindful parent, be a loving, compassionate, deep, understanding parent, and your kids will do just fine. You all have been asking wonderful, great questions. I need to carry on about my day here. I wish I can sit here forever. Trust me, if I was a robot, I'd sit here forever with y'all. I love answering questions, but the time nears 4 o'clock. It's 2:17 p.m. right now in Florida, and I look forward to seeing you all tonight around perhaps 10 p.m. So look forward to that. And if you'd like to join me back again at 10 p.m. tonight, no promises, no promises. But thank you all for joining and being wonderful listeners for this long after Sudi. May you all be well, and until the very next time, take care.